Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I wanted to talk about Donald Trump and his pardons. And I was reading an article about the pardon process and who Trump might pardon and why he could issue certain pardons. He actually pardoned a friend of Snoop Dogg, which I thought was kind of surprising. But there's some other stuff that you may want to learn from this. It's pretty interesting stuff. So we're going to break some of this down for a few minutes tonight on drboycetv.com. So get comfortable. We're going to get started right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I thought that I would hop in here and just say hello to you guys. I hope you guys are having a good night. And I was reading this interesting article about Donald Trump and pardons and whether or not Trump can actually pardon himself or pardon all the crazy people that stormed the Capitol that day. Roberta says, I love your information, Dr. Boyce. Well, I love you too. Thank you very much. And I love your support. Without your support, I am nothing. So I will never forget that. And so anyway, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, shout out, if you got a Black-owned business, all the Black business owners, shout out the name of your Black-owned business. If you have one, I want everybody to know what you're up to. And I want to hear from all the Black business owners, all the Black investors, everybody who's buying real estate now, because that's the key. The key for this generation is ownership. That's how we're going to get our real power. It's not going to come through the political system. I think it's going to come through Black economics. So all the owners, everybody in here who owns something, owns stocks, bonds, assets, a business, a family business, shout it all out. Your family name matters. Take pride in that family name and put that name in the chat. I want to hear about it. I see Hairsko and FR4 Shart LLC. I don't even know how to say that. Back of House LLC. Good. So remember, your last name is as valuable as anybody else's. So don't forget that. So let me just jump in here and talk about this Trump pardon thing. So it turns out that Trump he's throwing his pardon power around. I actually read an article on CNET today where they were actually claiming that the pardons almost sound like they were for sale, that you could get a pardon for $2 million. I wouldn't put that past Trump, because Trump's had a long history of being kind of a gangster sort of businessman. He was in the casino business, which is a pretty dirty business. And so his connections with Russia and everything else, that's not out of the question. One of the things I was wondering was all the people that stormed the Capitol, I wondered if he was going to try to pardon all of them. Well, actually, they said that he could pardon all of them. And you may not know this, but according to CNET.com, this has been done before. Actually, all the Confederate soldiers, when they engaged in a massive insurrection against the U.S. government, when they remember that whole thing called the Civil War, basically the president issued a pardon of all the Confederate soldiers. Basically saying, come back into the house, rejoin the family, everything's going to be okay. This was done by Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was kind of the original Donald Trump, except much worse. Andrew Johnson was the guy who took back your 40 acres and a mule. He was the guy that led to the deaths of lots and lots of Black folks. I mean, I don't think anybody's taking out more Black people than him other than Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden might have the record because remember, Joe Biden did that mass incarceration epidemic and we ain't forgot that because you're talking about billions of dollars spent building prisons and you're sending tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Black men away to be beaten, raped, and tortured. I can't forgive you for that. So anybody who thinks that I'm being a little bit harsh, I encourage you to let go of your white supremacy and stop believing that somehow we can forgive when people do terrible things to us, but they can't forgive us when we do terrible things to them. So with that said, let me read more of this here. It says President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration starts tomorrow, the 20th at noon Eastern. The White House has yet to release the final list of people President Donald Trump will pardon. Before he leaves office, his staff met over the weekend to compile a list of about 100 people the president will pardon or commute the sentences of, according to a report by CNN Monday. Some pardons reportedly will come at a price of $2 million, as reported by the New York Times. I didn't know you could just buy a pardon like that. I didn't know you had to pay money, but you know, Trump's a businessman, and that's kind of what you get. And so they said Trump will not attempt to pardon himself. A lot of scholars say that you can't do that, even though it's not technically illegal. But his advisors have pretty much advised him not to do that because apparently that means that you're serving as your own judge or something like that. Also on the list of people expecting a pardon, they mentioned names like a former chief of staff Mark Meadows, senior advisor Stephen Miller, rapper Lil Wayne, and also Joe Exotic from this documentary called The Tiger King, which that was crazy. That series was out of this world. It was ridiculous and sick. But anyway, so Trump is so there's some questions, right? Like, can he pardon all the rioters that came up? Apparently, 13 people were arrested for charging the Capitol, and the FBI posted pictures of the suspects. This idea of a mass pardon. Not only was Andrew Johnson a guy who actually pardoned a lot of people by pardoning the Confederate soldiers, but also Jimmy Carter in 1977 basically pardoned anybody who evaded the Vietnam War draft. So anybody who evaded the draft was pardoned by President Jimmy Carter. So there, this sort of broad use of pardon power has occurred in the past. And so there's not a lot. And when you look at history, there's a lot of things that Trump might do that actually have been done in the past. Also, he asked about his own kids. So apparently he's expecting to be prosecuted himself and his children as well. And I agree. I think that when you play those high level politics, the laws become very ambiguous. And I think, for example, if you look at Hunter Biden, that guy's into all kinds of stuff. And so it almost seems like you're walking the tightrope when you're in high level politics, which is why I would never want to go into high level politics. I wouldn't want to be president. I wouldn't want to be governor. I think the state of Illinois has had, I want to say, 3 governors that have gone to prison. Somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong on that, but I believe it's three governors that have gone to prison. That's kind of crazy. You become governor, you think you made it, like you think you're actually a successful person, and then next thing you know, you're in prison. That don't make no sense. So anyway, so the one other suggestion that's been thrown out is whether or not Joe Biden himself may pardon Trump. And actually, former FBI Director James Comey actually said that Biden should consider pardoning Trump because that will be good for the nation. And that makes me actually respect James Comey, because I respect anybody who's genuinely trying to bring the country together. I do, and I think that that's pretty mature of him, because remember, Comey got fired by Trump. Trump booted him out and said a lot of terrible things about him. But Comey's basically like, look, you got to be the bigger man, because it's all about taking care of America. And that's really what I'm seeing right now. A couple things still confuse me about this insurrection that occurred. The big thing that confuses me is I still can't understand how our the military budget every year is what, about $500 billion, and the Pentagon is probably, I'm not the Pentagon, I'm sorry, the not the Pentagon, the Capitol is one of the top 5 most important buildings in the United States. I don't know. I mean, I guess what the Treasury may be, and the White House, and the Pentagon, and then the Capitol building. I mean, that's got to be top 5, top 10 of the most important facilities that you want to secure. And your military budget, I was wrong. I said it was $500 billion. It's not $500 billion. It's actually $934 billion. The U.S. military spending is almost $1 trillion by itself. How is it that you can spend almost $1 trillion on your military and you can't even defend the Capitol? I still don't understand that. I still don't get that. Don't get me wrong. Should the people that that broke into the Capitol building be punished? Sure, absolutely. It's a federal building. You're not supposed to do that. But just like I felt that people should be punished when they were burning down businesses in the summertime, I didn't like that either. But that's neither here nor there. The issue I have is, shouldn't somebody have been standing there stopping them from going into the building? Where were the soldiers? Where was this $1 trillion military at? I mean, what are they doing? I mean, I just, can someone please confirm to me that you understand what I'm saying? Where were the soldiers? Where was that military? $1 trillion you spend defending the country, and you can't even secure one of the five most important buildings in the entire United States. Really though. Hmm. So honestly, this is one of those things where when I hear people say, "Oh, this was a false flag operation," I don't know. I mean, I don't know what conspiracies are at play. I'm sure that there's probably 1,000 of them we'll never know about. But they got a point. They got a point. I mean, think about this. I mean, if your goal was to make the right wing look crazy, find an excuse to ban, 500,000 people off of Twitter and Facebook and tear down their YouTube channels and get rid of Parler and everything else and ban all dissenting opinions and engage in the totalitarian objective of eliminating the opposition almost completely, then yeah, then this provides a great visual, right? Let's let them all bust into the Capitol and let's get some video of it, and then we put it all over the media, and we call them insurrectionists and terrorists and invaders. They weren't invaders. I'm sorry, they didn't invade anything because they didn't have to actually overcome hardly any obstacle. There was a few cops blocking the door. I think a couple, mall cops. They had that one poor brother that was being chased by a bunch of white boys when all he had was a billy club to defend himself, and he's getting credit for defending America. Like you're the last guy standing there as as a group of white guys are busting in the building. I don't understand that. I think that he should probably ask for some backup. I would be asking, why didn't I have any backup? But it's very confusing to me, and it's also very disturbing about the direction that the country's going into. So here's where you are now, right? You have a situation now where you have basically decided that 100 million people are terrorists. That anybody who did it and anybody who supports those who did it, basically anybody who voted for Trump, right? And I know black people who voted for Trump. I don't fall into this idea that every Trump supporter is racist. I don't believe that. I believe that there's white supremacy everywhere. Like when you call this a white supremacist invasion, what was white supremacist about the invasion? I mean, if it was purely white supremacist, purely racist, then don't you think they would have invaded a black neighborhood? Like, don't you think? I mean, there's black people that live near the Capitol. Why didn't they go to the hood and say we're going to go get some Negroes today? They didn't do that. They went to the Capitol. So this was not an anti-black sort of thing to me. This was anti-government, anti-Nancy Pelosi, anti-Mitch McConnell, anti-Congress. That's who they were trying to get at. They weren't trying to get at black people. I'm sure black people could have walked by. There were probably black people in the crowd somewhere, so it doesn't let them off the hook. But what it does say is that this term white supremacist is often flopped around. It's misused, where racist people will use that term white supremacist in order to convince you that somehow the other side is racist and they're not. And so what is my point on this? My point on this is to say that if you think that the right wing is the only group that has racism in it, then you are full of shit. You are a complete idiot. Like your IQ is about 12 because you clearly don't know anything about history, because you don't remember when Joe Biden was running around with Strom Thurmond, the biggest racist in all of Congress, and basically trying to get black people locked up by the thousands. Like, you really expect me to believe that the only white supremacists in this whole big situation are on the right wing side? And also, why do you care if they think they're superior to you? Why do you even care? Why do you even worry about what white people think about you anyway? You need to worry about what you think about yourself. Seriously. I think that black people are, I think black, how many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you think black is beautiful? How many of you think black women are superior in terms of looks to any other group of women on the planet? Give me a yes in the chat if you think black women are the most gorgeous things you've ever seen. Give me a yes or no. How many of you think that the black man is the original man, that we are the greatest men ever, that we are dominant, that we are extraordinary, that we can't be touched, that there's nobody in history that can match who we are, how great we can be? Exactly. A lot of you are saying yes. Exactly. So, the reason I don't really care if somebody white is a white supremacist is because if I call him a white supremacist, he can easily turn around and call me a black supremacist and accuse me of all the things I'd be accusing him of. When at the end of the day, the way human nature works is people are supposed to love their group more than they love other people. That's it. This idea, this equality thing, like, oh, white people are going to treat me the same as they would treat other white people, or that Asian people are going to treat Arabs the same way they treat other Asians. That's bullshit. That doesn't happen in the real world. What fantasy land did they raise you up on? What bag of chitlin flavored brainwashing did they feed you as a child to make you somehow think that if you get no love from your own community and from your own people, that you're going to get love somewhere else? A lot of the reason that black people stay oppressed, this is why black people stay behind, is because we continuously drink the Kool-Aid. We continuously engage in the slave thinking. We consistently allow other people to manipulate our emotions and convince us that those are the bad guys. No, but we're really the good guys. We're really the good guys. And I find that hilarious because, because when Ice Cube was running around trying to get Biden to even do anything for black folks, they were beating him down. Like there were black people that they hired, high ranking black people whose job it was to make sure that he got nothing for black people. And these are supposed to be your friends, like for real. These are really your friends. In fact, there was a story I heard. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. I'll try to put it on the screen if you want to follow me on the gram. My Instagram is not a place to go if you are easily offended, if your brain is built on brainwashing, if you are into the same old ignorant line of thinking that they feed you, mass media, then this is not the place for you. My place is for people that want to grow, that want their thinking to be challenged, that actually want to make progress. And I find that that's not the majority. A lot of black folks are running in a spin cycle, sitting still, ain't moving forward, and don't know why. Don't care. Don't even care. They're just happy with the status quo. I'm not interested in that. But there's a story I heard today. I put it on my Instagram. It was told by a white guy who was in the military, and the guy said that they had 5 monkeys in a cage. And in the cage, what they did was they put some bananas. They hung some bananas from the ceiling, and they put a stool there so the monkeys could climb on the stool and reach up and grab the bananas. So when they put the bananas there, the first monkey climbs up to grab the bananas on the stool. And as soon as he grabbed the banana, they sprayed all the monkeys down with ice cold water, like hit them hard, like hard water, like freezing cold. And the monkeys were traumatized, like screaming in pain and sitting there soaking wet and sad. And they were looking at the bananas because they wanted to eat the bananas and they were hungry, but they couldn't get the bananas because every time they tried to get up and reach a banana, they would get sprayed with this cold water. So what they did was they pulled one of the monkeys out of the cage and they put a new monkey in there, a monkey who had never been traumatized. And then so there's 4 wet monkeys and 1 dry monkey who's never been traumatized. So the new monkey sees the bananas and he's like, "Oh, that's what's up." So he climbs on the chair to go get the bananas. Well, you know what happened is the 4 wet monkeys beat the shit out of the dry monkey. They beat the crap out of him. Like, you know better than to go for those bananas. You're not supposed to do that. Like, what are you doing? You're gonna get us all sprayed down. You're gonna get us all killed, right? And so so that monkey eventually, like, gives up and he's bleeding, right? So now you got 4 wet monkeys and 1 bloody monkey, right? And then they take out one of the wet monkeys and they put another fresh monkey in. The new fresh monkey, he jumps up to try to do the same thing, and all the monkeys beat his ass, right? The 3 wet monkeys and the 1 bloody monkey beat the other monkey till you got 2 bloody monkeys and 3 wet monkeys. And they keep removing the wet monkeys every time and put a fresh monkey in. And the monkeys, and eventually you get to the point where you got 4 bloody monkeys, right? So none of these monkeys has ever actually been sprayed or punished for going after bananas. None of these monkeys has ever had the experience of the oppression. But when the new monkey comes in and he goes for the bananas, guess what happens? The 4 bloody monkeys beat his ass, say, "Don't, you're not supposed to do that. Like, what is wrong with you?" And so literally they said what was fascinating about this experiment, stay with me now, give me a guess if you follow this story. They said literally it got to the point where whenever the new monkey came in to try to grab the bananas, the 4 bloody monkeys in the cage would beat his ass, even though none of the monkeys in the cage had ever experienced any form of oppression. They had never been sprayed down for trying to get the bananas. They didn't have it in their memory. They'd only known that just like, you just don't do that. You're not supposed to go take Master's bananas, or not only is Master gonna come get your ass, but we're gonna kick your ass, right? So when I saw that experiment, tell me that did not make me think about black people and the way we react to politics. When I saw Ice Cube going in there, basically trying to get some bananas for black folks, saying ain't nothing stopping us. we we just gotta just withhold our vote, and if we do that, then they're gonna give us what we want. Who was going after him the hardest? Sure, white folks were mad, but that's what white folks gonna be white. That's what they're gonna do. It's not their community, it's your community he was fighting for. But it was the black people that were going after him like some bloody monkeys, beating his ass because you ain't supposed to take masses bananas. Like oppression is so deep psychologically that a lot of times when you are really trying to fight for freedom for black people, your biggest adversaries in many cases will be other people that look just like you. That's the insanity of what racism has done to our head. That's what's crazy about it. All this man said is, I want something more for black people. And you have black people going after him like he was a member of the KKK. They would kiss a Klansman before they would support Ice Cube trying to get something for the community. That's a mental illness. Like that's a sickness. That's a real sickness that you have going on right there. And sometimes I see them pop up in the chat, and they eventually leave because they realize this is not the place for them, and that's okay because I'm not really talking to people like that. I don't work well with mentally ill people. My fiance is a mental health worker. Maybe you need to make an appointment with her, but I'm not here to do therapy on your crazy ass. I'm just here to talk to the people who also understand that some of us are living in the twilight zone. so so when I see what's going on with the country right now, and I see what's happening with the inauguration, let me just make this clear. I don't see the inauguration as something to celebrate. I don't see it as, oh my goodness, we removed a white supremacist from the White House. We're so much better off. I see it as we removed one white supremacist and replaced him with another. And but here's the other thing that's going to probably trip you out is honestly white supremacy doesn't bother me that much because I believe in black excellence. I believe that when white supremacy and black excellence are in the same room, black excellence is going to win every time. And to me, black excellence could also even be called a form of black supremacy because when you believe that you're excellent, that by definition means that you're at your best, which typically means that you're better than everyone else. And so if you believe that you're excellent, which means that you believe that you are at your best, which means that you are better than everyone else, then someone can accuse you of being a black supremacist. So I'm not saying that I want us to be black supremacists. I don't even want to use a term like that. But what I am trying to say to you is that you have a choice. You have a choice that goes beyond just simply saying, I want to aim for an America where white people love me as much as they love each other, or aim for an America where they're going to tell me that I'm okay so that then I'll really be okay. I don't want to aim for an America where suddenly they start being nice to me and that makes me feel like I'm worthy of being of kindness. No, I think you should live in an America where you define your reality. That's what I believe. I believe that we can define our reality. And I also know, though, unfortunately, that many of us don't have the self-esteem to do that. So what I would love for you to do tomorrow, is if you're watching the inauguration, sure, watch it. It's going to be interesting because America has a predicament. The predicament is that you're up here trying to convince us that 80 million people are insurrectionists, terrorists, white supremacists who want to kill everybody. And the problem with that is that that's half your military. I mean, if you look at, just talking about this Democrat Republican stuff, I got friends that are Democrats, friends that are Republicans. I'm neither one. I voted Libertarian, but I'm probably not even a full-fledged Libertarian. I just did it because I didn't want to be a Democrat or Republican. You're not going to box me into no bullshit, no matter what. I'm just not going to do it. And so, anyway, when I look at this Democrat-Republican thing, most of your people that sign up for your military are on the Republican side. Most of your cops are on the Republican side. I have relatives in my family that were cops, and most of them voted Republican because Republicans tend to support the cops. So you got the liberal side, the Democrats, who are basically saying defund the police. They're all racist, etc. But then they're turning to these same police saying, we need you to protect us. I don't think that's going to work. I mean, just from a practical standpoint, I mean, sure, you can talk about the way things should be all day long. I'm talking about the way things are. I don't really understand how you can go and say, okay, every Trump supporter in America is a full-blown racist, but then turn to those same Trump supporters and ask them to defend you because many of these Trump supporters do exist in your military. And so I'm okay with a world where we say, look, if you're racist, I'm gonna call you for your racist, but I need to be specific and explicit about it. I'm not gonna call everybody a racist just because they didn't vote for the same person I voted for. I think that's wrong. I think you call someone racist if they do something that appears to be explicitly racist, and really you should only care if it really affects you. So that means that if some toothless redneck out of Tennessee who's mad because he ain't got a job decides to call you the N-word, what do you care? What difference does that make in your household when you're trying to feed your kids and trying to live your life? Stop being triggered by what other people think about you. Focus on what you're doing for yourself. But then also, when I'm looking at groups like whether it's the Proud Boys or anybody else, I'm specifically looking for anti-black language. If you tell me that they hate black people, okay, I get it, but I need to know that you're saying it because it's true, and you're not just saying it because you're trying to scare me into voting for you. So I'm gonna listen, and when I listen, I haven't heard any of these groups run around saying we're here to come get black people. I've heard them say we don't like the leftists, we don't like Antifa. Well, so that means if you're in Antifa, then you need to watch out because they're very anti-Antifa. But anti-black, well, I see black people that are conservative. I see black people that are liberal. Black people live on both sides of the aisle. So anybody who gives you the impression that all black people that become Trump supporters are sellouts, or all black people that become Biden supporters are making the right decision. No, in my book, honestly, I could just as easily call you a white supremacist if you're a Biden supporter as I could if you're a Trump supporter. Why is that? Well, because Joe Biden incarcerated more black men than any president in American history, and he's refused to apologize. He completely ignored Ice Cube when Ice Cube asked for reparations. He hasn't even said the word reparations for black people. He's put immigration at the top of his agenda ahead of any issue for black people. So that to me, if you want to talk about what a white supremacist looks like, that sounds pretty racist to me. So pay attention now. So if I were to somehow want to be nasty to you or to be stupid, I could say, well, anybody who voted for Joe Biden is a white supremacist. Wait, would that be accurate? No, it wouldn't be. It would be dumb for me to say that. It would be rude for me to say that. It would be me undermining your right to support this guy. I don't care if you support the guy, but also I have the right not to support him. That's the thing. When you get to the point where you tell people, well, you got the freedom to vote for who you want, but if you vote for someone other than who I vote for, I'm going to label you as a racist. Well, that's somewhat oppressive. That's obnoxious. That's incredibly rude, and that's actually a racist act within itself. You're actually undermining the freedom of people to choose which candidate they want to vote for. And I think it's okay for people to say, I don't want to be a Democrat because I'm not down for all this LGBT stuff. I'm not down for the abortion. I'm not down for the open borders. So because I don't want to be a Democrat, I'm going to go ahead and be something else. I think it's okay for them to say that. And it's not okay for you to say, well, because you don't support LGBT, that makes you a racist. Because you don't roll with us on feminism, that makes you a racist. Because you don't roll with us on immigration, that makes you a racist. Because you don't roll with us on abortion, that makes you a racist. Stop that. Stop using racism for purposes other than what it was intended to communicate. Right? When you talk about racism, let's talk about specific acts that are designed to oppress or to harm black people, particularly in a systematic way. If that's the case, then you must start with the 1994 Biden crime bill, in which he ended up systematically exterminating hundreds of thousands of black people from our population. He ended up sending thousands of your daddies to prison, and I will never forget that. And so, in order for you to actually have an intelligent conversation about this, which most people can't have, most people just have emotional conversations. It goes back to the monkey story. Remember, I told you about the monkey story, how the monkeys were beating up any monkey that tried to get the bananas, not because they really knew that there were consequences to getting the bananas, but because that was the tradition. The tradition was monkeys don't get bananas. So if we catch you up here to getting bananas for the group, we're going to kick your ass. Well, that's what a lot of black folks do. I think that a lot of us volunteer for oppression. We are so used to being at the bottom of the barrel. We so desire to be at the bottom of the barrel. We so love being at the bottom of the barrel that anybody who tries to climb out of the barrel, we're going to grab that person and pull them down because that's what crabs in a barrel do. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's what I think. I think that in terms of pardons and all this other stuff, I think Trump is going to be, he's going to be a narcissist. He's a narcissist. I mean, he's a textbook narcissist. There's no question about that. So he's probably going to do some outrageous stuff before he leaves the White House. But I think that if you're interested in America not tearing itself apart, I think you got to let go of this whole idea that 100 million people are these horrible white supremacists, but everybody else is okay. I mean, either they're all bad or they're all good. It's one or the other. Like, I don't think you can say, well, they're all racist white supremacists, but we have no white supremacy over here, because then you're letting the Democrats off the hook for their nonsense. The stuff that they're doing to black people is being allowed to pass under the radar because you're so focused on silly, ridiculous nonsense. And then you get played like a sucker. Like, for example, how Black Lives Matter collected $10 billion using black people's names, and all they could come up with that $10 billion was a twerk on Washington campaign that they did on Martin Luther King Day. That was the only thing I really saw from them. I didn't see them doing anything substantive in black communities. I saw them using black people. And so there are two types of black people in America. There are black people who see the game, who see the hustle and understand it, and those who will continue with the okey doke, those who will continue the tradition of oppression, and those who will overcome it. So what I think is going to occur is that you have to do this. If you're going to overcome the oppression, you got to just accept the fact that, that 40 million black people are not coming with you. That there's out of 40 million of us, about 35 million of that 40 million are going to continue to do what they've been doing. They're going to continue to be oppressed. They're going to continue to sit at the bottom. They're going to continue to fall for the same stupid joke or stupid mind tricks that are played in every election, and they're going to keep on following along and doing what they're told. But there's going to be that 5 million, that talented tenth, if you will, which might be some of the people in this room. I don't know. And they're going to move forward. Like, you're going to move forward. Like, what's going to happen is your kids are going to have a different reality from their kids. Your life is going to be different from their life. You're going to have more money in your pocket than they do, because you're going to invest in things like financial literacy. You're going to read more books, so you're going to have more knowledge than they have. You're going to have a better strategy than they have. You're going to have stronger families than they have, because you're going to invest in your relationships and learn how to keep the daddy in the house instead of thinking the single motherhood is the way to go, right? So you're just going to have a better life. And what's going to occur is that you're just going to have people that are going to be upset. They're not going to understand why your life is better. I go through that now. To this day, I have people that I know in my own family who can't understand why my life is better than them or better than theirs. And they think that it's because I'm trying to be uppity or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not being uppity, but I know exactly why your life is a fucking mess, because you make a bunch of dumbass decisions. When it was time to go to school, you didn't want to go to school. You wanted to go to the club. When it was time to save money, you don't want to save money. You want to go buy a Gucci belt. When it came time to invest in new skills so you can learn how to start a business, you don't want to do that. You just want to sit around and wait for a paycheck so you can go to the club on Friday night and spend up all your money. When it came time to pick a good woman, you didn't want a quality woman. You picked some big booty hoe that you met at the strip club, and now she's the mother of your child. Now you're sitting in child support crying like a little punk because you can't pay for your kids. All right, seriously, you made bad choices. And so I just really think that, it's something where it doesn't mean that if you made bad choices that you're a bad person. I'm not saying that at all. It just means that you're conscious enough. Consciousness means that you're just aware, right? And I really think that this consciousness term, you have to be conscious to really know what consciousness actually means. Consciousness is just an alertness, right? It's where you say, I'm not doing stuff just on autopilot or on habit. I'm doing things with my conscious mind, not my subconscious mind. Because if you do things on your subconscious mind, you're going to do everything wrong, because they've been programming your subconscious mind since birth. Like, for example, if you're not conscious about what education is being put in your brain, you're going to be trained to be a white supremacist. A lot of black folks are white supremacists, by the way. If you're not conscious about what you do with your money, then you're going to subconsciously give all your money away. If you're not conscious about what you do with your career, then you're going to unconsciously end up working for a white person and building up their businesses instead of your own. If you're not conscious about how you pick a woman or how you pick a man, then you're going to subconsciously go for the things that look good and smell good and feel good. And next thing you know, your life won't be good. And so everything requires consciousness, almost to the point where things like meditation is really important. Social distance is important, because I think coonery spreads like the coronavirus. Seriously, the coronavirus is everywhere. And so really, I think the smartest black people I know tend to be people who kind of stay to themselves, who kind of step to the side and say, I need to figure this out on my own. I need to figure out who I'm going to be. I met a brother today, a black man who actually is a crypto expert. His name was Ian, and I like this kid a lot. And I instantly could tell something was different about him. Like, we were talking about crypto, and I'm going to actually invest with his company and everything. And I like what he was doing. And the thing about him was like he was just different, you know, like you could just instantly tell he spoke different, he carried himself different. He wasn't trying to be a thug or a rapper. He didn't look like some Negro on TV. He just looked different. And I talked to him for a minute. It turned out his daddy has a PhD. He also grew up. He spent time growing up in Uganda. I think he's African, but he also, I think, was born in America. But he also has some African roots, and he lives in Texas now. And it was just kind of like, you know, this kid was different and special and unique because he had a different culture around him. He didn't have a culture that was encouraging nonsense. And so a lot of your culture is just bad culture. You know, you have a lot of bad habits, and these habits are designed to put you exactly where you started at. And so if you want to rise out of that, you've got to consciously disconnect from that. You got to consciously get, and you got to consciously get help for that, right? Like, so for example, learning how to pick the right type of man or right type of woman to build with, and then learning how to properly build with that person might require training. Like, you might really need to go take a class on how to have a good relationship if you want that to work for you. You might need to go and definitely take classes on how to manage your wealth. Maybe take a class on how to manage your health. Those are three areas I think about: health, wealth, and relationships. Those are the three areas where Black people die the most. Our health is shitty because we unconsciously eat the crappiest food. Because again, it goes back to slavery, right? We got the worst food then, we still get the worst food now, right? So we have the most health problems related to the food we eat. And then also media encourages us to celebrate obesity, right? They consider Lizzo to be body positivity, even though when her fat ass is up there twerking, I'm sitting there thinking, like, why would that be a good thing? Like, I don't hate her for being fat. I don't care. I know plenty of people that are overweight. I used to be overweight, but my God, you're acting like this is a positive thing? No wonder you're dying from heart disease, diabetes, and strokes, because you're out here shaking this shit like it's a good thing. Like, you're really acting like this is good. Like, you're really cheering this on. Like, think about this. How can you cheer on death and expect life? Like, how can you cheer on failure and expect that to be progress? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. So so the health wise, you know, we die the most from all the things that are preventable. If you look at wealth, we stay the brokest. We are the brokest because even if you put money in some of our pockets, we will find a way to lose it, because all of our economic habits are incredibly unhealthy. We are trained to give all of our money away. We're trained to not save anything. We're not trained to think about financial security. We don't want to think about investing because apparently that's what white people do. We don't talk about starting businesses because we're all very happy to go get a paycheck, particularly get the paycheck from our oppressor, which is absolutely the most dangerous place to be. But that's what you're trained to do. So if you unconsciously pursue your wealth strategies, then you're going to be broke. Even those of you who do well, even those of us who seem to be like the best of the best, even they end up like in these weird situations where you've got $200,000 in student loan debt and you can't repay it, and you're working for some white man's company making him rich, and you're literally going to die in debt. Like, half of all Black college graduates are going to die in debt. Again, lack of consciousness. Nobody ever stopped them and said, wait, hold on, put the brakes on, partner. You need to look at a whole different path. Don't just do what your mama did. Don't just do what your daddy did. Don't just do what your homies are doing. You need to get off the grid, go in a whole different direction, reassess this whole thing from top to bottom, and figure out which direction you need to go. And then let's not talk about relationships. I mean, my God, if 76% of your children are growing up without a father in the home, that means that you're doing some shit wrong. That means somebody is fucking up the process. And I know it's easy to be like, well, these Black men need to do this. No, 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 no. It ain't just the men. Or all these Black women, they need to stop. No, no, no. It ain't all just the women. It's all of us. It is all of us. We need to learn how to have better relationships, because divide and conquer has been used on us since plantation days. Like, since plantation days, the number one goal was to ensure that Black people never ever do anything together, because when they do things together, they are harder to defeat, because a group is harder to defeat than an individual. So you keep them all as a bunch of individuals, and then you make them take pride in the poison. Like, they literally, people are proud of the poison. Like, I'm a strong Black woman who don't need no man. And you know, if these hoes, man, you know, like, then what they do is they promote the nonsense, right? Remember, Snoop Dogg became famous because his most famous line was, "We don't love them hoes," right? And they encourage young Black men to hate Black women and disrespect Black women. They encourage the women to disrespect the men. And then they encourage everybody just to chase the booty and the bling and all the stupid stuff. And next thing you know, somebody done got pregnant, and this baby ain't got a mommy and a daddy who can get along longer than 5 minutes, long enough to actually give a shit about the child. A lot of that is because you just have the wrong values, right? Like for example, just a basic a basic idea you can start with, for example, when it comes to kids, is like at least with a basic value system that says that the well-being of the children matters more than anything else. Like literally, that means that if I get into an argument with you and I want to cuss you out in front of the kids because you deserve to be cussed out in the moment, I'm not gonna cuss you out because I don't want to see my kids. I don't want my kids to see me cussing out their mother, or I don't want to see or you don't want your kids to see you talking smack about their daddy because it's gonna hurt the children. That's hard to do. And the reason that's hard to do is because you don't have a society that encourages that. You don't have a society that encourages the group well-being over the individual. You have a society that tells you you got to do you and be you and do your thing, and that what you want and what you need is more important than everything else. And it's all about you, yiggity you all the time. And so you don't have no room for the kids. You can't create a stable group setting for anybody because everybody's trying to take care of the individual. Everybody's trying to take care of themselves. You know what? I'm gonna tell you, our 11-year-old did this experiment. I'm sorry, she's 10. She did this little thing at dinner tonight where she had us write on a piece of paper. She said, put the letter C. She said, if you put the letter C, everybody in the room will get $1 except you. Everybody will get $1 except you. If you put a D, then you will get $2 and nobody gets anything else. And so when it was done, what we figured out the nature of the game. I'm not gonna tell you what everybody put on their paper. I put a C because I want everybody else to have $1. Well, what she showed was she said, so there's 5 of us in this room, right? She said, so if we all voted for everyone else to get $1, then that would be 4 times 5, which would be $20. There would be $20 in the room. But if everybody voted to give themselves $2, then each person would have $2, but there would only be $10 in the room. So in the second scenario, when you're taking care of you think you're getting more, but really you're getting less. Because if everybody did the same thing, if everybody was a giver, then everybody could have $4 because all of us would give everyone else $4, right? Does that make sense? But because you're a taker, everybody has $2. So the whole family loses because the whole family is only going to have $10 instead of $20, which you would have had if everybody was giving to everyone else. And I told her, I said, that's what cooperative economics looks like. Cooperative economics is just like love. Cooperative economics, where everyone the group benefits, requires a tremendous amount of trust. Because what happens is the reason that everybody doesn't want to give the $3 away is because they're all out for self. They're like, well, I'm gonna take care of me because I can't trust these other people to take care of me. They're not gonna come through me. For me, I need to come through for myself. So I can't trust these black men. These black men ain't gonna do right by you, girl. You better take care of yourself. You better look out for you. Same thing with men. Like, well, these hoes ain't loyal. You need to make sure you take care of yourself, man. You better do what's best for you, dog. And next thing you know, you don't have family. You don't have cooperative anything because everybody's a taker, nobody's a giver. To build group connectivity, you must have givers in that group. That's the only way it can work. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for the night. I just had to kind of, I don't know. I didn't even know what I was planning on talking about. I know we started talking about Trump's pardons and all that stuff, but there's a whole lot more happening in the world. In fact, I don't really care much about the inauguration stuff, to be honest with you. I'm happy for the people that are going to be marching with Kamala Harris. I think the Howard University marching band is going to be accompanying her at the inauguration and everything. And I'm sure they're very proud of that. But honestly, if that were my child, I probably wouldn't send my child to DC right now because DC's on complete lockdown. I don't know. Anybody live in DC? What's it like down there? Because I don't think I'd want to be in DC, anywhere near DC right now at all. But it is what it is. I think they got they got a lot of symbolism. They give us a lot of symbolism. So I think they picked a black lady for the to be the poet, the young black girl, very talented, I'm sure. And then they picked the black preacher to give the I was gonna say the eulogy, but it's not a eulogy. It's whatever it is. The the little preacher speech that happens at the end. I don't know what it's called. See, I'm totally unsophisticated. Downtown DC is on complete lockdown. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be in DC right now. I feel like the nation is on the brink of bad things, and I hope that this doesn't happen. But I really think that this is, if you want to talk about healing and coming together and forgiveness, I really, really think that's the right strategy. I just really, I hate the fact that if you talk about healing and forgiveness and togetherness, you have extremists that, want to attack people that want to actually come together. I like listening to, I like listening to my friends who voted for Biden. I like listening to my friends who voted for Trump. I don't have any problem with that at all. All I care about is building for the black community. That's it. So I don't understand this whole, like I hate you because of who you voted for stuff. I kind of think that's just not gonna work for the country. And anybody else who's smart enough to kind of understand or even can take a second to get what I'm saying, I hope you'll hear me when I say, that this ain't it, man. We're headed downhill. This is the kind of thing that destroys the democracy. And I think that unfortunately it almost looks like we can't turn back from where we are right now. So maybe I hope that I'm wrong. And also just between us, I am glad that Trump is transitioning out. I don't know what they said to him to make him walk away, but I think it's good for America, and I'm glad he did it. I think Biden does provide stability that Trump did not provide. At least he's more presidential. So in that regard, I can agree with that. And also, let me just say this too: as an investor, if you're investing, there are a lot of different companies that actually did really well because Biden took over. So I told you guys about Tilray. I love that Tilray stock. It's a cannabis company out of Canada. That sucker has grown 100% in like the last week and a half or something. And it wasn't an expensive stock. It was only like maybe $7 a share or something. And so I encourage you to handle your business, mind your money, put your money on your mind, put your money on your family, and let these crazy politicians go fight it out. But you go take care of you and yours. Okay. So anyway, follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And also there's we have this thing called the All Black Agenda, which you probably know about it, but I'll share the URL with you if you want to go take a look at that. And that's just kind of a set of resources you can go take a look at. I can't find the URL, but anyway, it's the allblackagenda.com. Or actually, if you want to get a copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to allblackeconomics.com. So there you go. There's something free that you can use that hopefully will help your family. So God bless you. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button before you go. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.